So this event is for you, all right? Since you have joined in, all your questions about privacy policy, you have to ask them, right? Just don't feel that a question is small, because a thing like privacy policy, right? And still 2016 GDPR passed and it's 2021. We still are talking about it. So first of all, it's clear that any question is not small, and we all are learning, right? Privacy is a beautiful space. We all are learning, right? If you ask a question, maybe that is something that we'll ponder upon, and maybe I think probably we'll also come up with a better solution for somebody else when we're going to our clients, when we're making our internal policies, right? When we're doing everything around us, right? So that is something that we should keep in our minds. Every session of Tsaaro is 45-minute session, and in the end we have 15 minutes of discussion, right? So we will give you an option in the last 15 minutes to ask direct questions to Cristina, right? Any question that you have, any question that is on your mind, you have an open opportunity to ask and get an answer from Cristina, right? For first 45 minutes till 10:45, what is going to happen is we have a few slides and we have a template for you, privacy policy template, obviously, right? And we kind of wanted to give away a free template also, right? As to you also get that understanding. Uh, so I think that is those are things that are going to happen today, right? We're going to give you a template. We're going to run through our slides. So slides, again, slides are very generic, but we're going to ask questions. So now, right, what is it that you have to do, right? Since you are in the session, you are participating with us. Uh, the slides, when we will run, we will give you an opportunity to ask questions, right? So you can type those questions, right? And Christina will take those questions for you. I'll try to read those questions. I know I'll honestly tell you there's so many questions that we have been getting since our last sessions. So maybe we are not able to take all the questions, but we want to take most of the questions that will be there in the chat. And any question is a good question, right? Do not think twice, just drop that question, right? And we are gonna flag this discussion off. So guys, welcome to Tsaaro exclusive webinar, how to write an external privacy policy, also known as a privacy statement, or also sometimes, since it's external, it can be a privacy notice in terms. But terminologies are different, but the thing is always the same, right? That is the external notification, rather, that you see on the website, that you see when you download a mobile app, or anything that takes your personal data, right? So a bit about us. We are a startup in sector of privacy, very unique over there. We have a solution. We kind of solve a lot of problems of our clients in data protection and not just data privacy, because just solving a data privacy problem would limit us in our security control frameworks. But now we're trying to develop a capability internally where we can solve the data protection problem. That is because that is the bigger umbrella of a data protection officer for tomorrow, right? So, okay. So what do you want to know from this session, right? Is the first question that I kind of wanted to ask before, but you can still type this out, guys. Yeah. Can you quickly, okay. So interesting thing is you have to go to Menti, right? And going to menti.com, you have to use the code 96278307. Yeah. This is the link. If you use the link, you can directly go here and it's in the chat, or you can go to menti.com and you can go for 96278307. It sounds like a customer care number, and it can be as simple as how to make a crisp, short, and informative privacy notice. Very well put forward. Yeah. Components to be added in privacy policy template. Okay. Free templates are always interesting. And we have one for you. So don't take tension. Yeah. What else, guys? What are you looking in this session for? Structure. Okay. Awesome. That's a fair point, right? I think components is something we're going to drill down to very soon, and try how to make a privacy reader friendly. Okay, wow. I think Christina is the
That
right
is
person to
okay.
answer this. Yeah. What not to add in a privacy policy? I think Christina, we should take this point definitely, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Drafting watertight privacy policy. Okay. I think that's good enough, right? I think it's a very fair ask, right? So I'm gonna introduce myself. I think probably Christina, and then I'm gonna take back. So guys, Cristina Costache, right? She's CIPPE, she has CIPM. She's obviously a fellow in privacy, and she's also part of a lot of IAPP advisory events that you see across happening, right? Yeah, I know everybody's taking those advisory events, and if you look across, I think Cristina Costache would be the one who's be speaking in those events, right? Taking care of implementation across the world. And luckily she has agreed to come to this event, right, which is a very big thing for us. She's also part of European Advisory Board, and she's also looks at, so I don't know if you guys have heard about, I know your privacy, you know about IAPP PSR, right, event, and the European Data Protection Congress that is happening in Brussels. So you would find her speaking in all those events right across the world. And that is the stature and the person, Cristina Costache, and she has been a data protection officer for a very long time. And I know her from last 1 year now, and she has kind of been agreeing a lot of times to come on conversations with me and trying to help me out in my implementation. So Cristina, over to you for a warm welcome for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Akash, and happy Dashera. I will look into it. Also, today is my mom's birthday, so it's a happy day all around. Hopefully, good will win, and we will make privacy policy or notice writing an easier task from now on. Even though, even after many years in practice, it's still difficult, because using plain language to explain various legal things and technical things, it's a challenge for us all. But as long as we do our best, I think that good will win, and our aim to protect rights and freedoms of people will be reached, or will be reachable. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining.
So yeah, so guys, Cristina is here for you, and then you have me obviously as your host today. And I know you looking at like, so what I'll just kind of shortly introduce myself. If you don't know me yet, there's a small startup that we run right now, which I guess is not small, and we're getting in the right direction. That is Tsaaro, right? I'm founder of this company, or rather co-founder. There are few more people who have shaken hands with me, right? Rohit and Krishna, right? And we have kind of been trying to build this company up. We also are co-founders in Tsaaro Academy. Tsaaro Academy has been #1 in terms of privacy academy in India. And we have been trying to do a lot of work and trying to do a lot of curate courses over there. But I think our focus always is our consulting practice, where we have been trying to do a lot of solving a lot of problems. And with our DP as a service and stuff, I think probably a lot of European markets is hot for us. But yeah, I will stick to the session, and I will get ahead in this session. So what is your current profession? Who are you, right? And again, I would request you to go to Menti. And I need participation from everyone here. So you need to kind of, go on that link. It's very easy, right? It's very, very easy. Just click on the link, right? That is on the chat, right? And you will have an option to fill data privacy consultant. Yes. I think privacy intern. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we are, I think it's interns are pretty, interesting. I think Christina, if you heard about the Netflix thingy where Netflix kind of wrote that it was the intern and replied on that email. Do you remember that? So there was a
No.
customer service thingy, right? And then in customer service, they kind of had replied all, right? Which they shouldn't have done. They had to reply one. And then they kind of came out with a notification saying it was an intern. So so it was trending on Twitter some months back. Yeah.
Oh, DPO comment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Wow.
In-house counsel. Okay. Wow. That's so many people here. Yeah.
So we have the entire range of people that could come into privacy.
Yeah.
Or,
It's
yeah.
beautiful. I've never seen this diversity in our. This is the first time kind of. We are new to this. Okay. Information security engineer, lead auditors, privacy consultants, cybersec professionals, contract specialists, right? I think contract specialists are someone's privacy is kind of growing more and more, right? Liability consultant, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think data breach liability, Christina, right, is one of the interesting topics, right?
Yeah. So just thinking about changing the SCCs to the new one. when you are a controller with, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000 processors all over the world. So you will need not one contract specialist, but a team
Definitely. And I
to
think
manage.
performing a transfer impact assessment every time we are signing a SCC, right, is also a lot of effort.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah,
what, so we were actually doing TIA, and then what kind of happened is we have been trying to assess India in terms of data transfer because data is coming to India, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
then TIAs I think kind of start making TI. I think after looking at a TIA and trying to assess risk, what I've realized over time is I think this is the moment which is kind of making everything in house in Europe, right? Using a TIA, it's kind of restricting everything right now. Yeah,
Yeah, but the policymakers are getting together because trying to restrict and localize data to Europe is not business-wise, innovation-driven. So we need to start discussing solutions in which personal data is protected, but you also allow the free flow of data as much as possible, because otherwise it will not be possible, and it will impact businesses, which will impact ultimately the people. So middle ground should always be the answer, and localization is not a solution from my point of view. Yeah, for this one, I would direct you to a very good article written by Hogan Lovells as a reply to the let's say new wave of restrictions when it comes to Schrems 2 fallout.
I think
Yeah,
Hogan
yeah,
Lovells has been looking at that articles, and especially I think I have personally been reading a lot into Bird and Bird and
yeah.
DLA Piper,
It's
right? So those are the two things that I kind of personally look at. And I think if you ask me, I actually I want you to actually talk about this, right? And this is kind of different from the session, but this is very important. So what has happened is for me, I have been looking at the Data Protection Authority's guidance and fines, right? So I kind of what I have been reading a lot nowadays is how is the Dutch DPA fining companies, right? And then I kind of look at CNIL, right? And those are the two organizations because UK is out of Europe now. So I'm stopped looking at ICO more and more, but I started looking at Dutch DPA because we kind of
yeah.
work a lot there in Netherlands. But what is your reading day, Christina? Right? What is it that you read to keep updated in privacy?
So I have to read it all. I have more than 50 jurisdictions. Um, so I need to take into consideration everything. Some are, let's say, looking towards GDPR as principles, but other ones are very different. So you need to take into consideration everything. New legislation is emerging all the time. It's LATAM, it's APEC everywhere.
But
I'm looking forward.
if you can
Yeah.
like point our listeners to like let's say three things that they can read to get better, because people here are from all sects, but they all are trying to get into privacy, right? Or getting better into
Okay.
privacy. So what are the
Okay.
three things
Okay.
they should read?
So three things they should read is the AIPP. I'm going for free, yes, free of charge. AIPP newsletters. You can register with the AIPP as a member without a fee. Okay, and you have access to a lot of resource there and updates. Data guidance, part of the information they provide is free, and especially the news ones. So you are getting news from all over the world, what is happening in the realm of data privacy, data security, cyber security, a lot of
So one trust
things.
data guidance.
OneTrust data
One
guidance,
trust data
yes.
guidance. Yes.
Okay, and otherwise, I'm just looking in LinkedIn because I also have people that I follow and I admire. So when they are posting something, I go into their posting and
Okay.
read more, because usually they have links to additional sources.
Right.
But I can tell you that around an hour per day, I spend reading field due to the complexity of the matters and the emergent legislation. You will never stop learning. At this
Right.
moment, I've been, let's say, in the privacy field for a while now, but I don't see myself self as an expert. Maybe people that have been doing this for 20 years can say that, but I don't see it. For me, I'm a practitioner. So I'm here on the ground with the boots and doing the things that I consider necessary to first enrich the culture of
Yep.
data protection in my company, and also putting some time into developing the community,
Right,
which is
Christina.
very important. Yeah,
And that is exactly what we are trying to do slowly, with,
yeah,
because Indian community, it's they're very new and the law still to pass. So these are the people, right? We are together in this, and we're kind of learning this together. So moving on, I let's start the session, and probably we kind of have already done that, but I just want to put a few more pointers. So Christina, what is a privacy statement, right? If you kind of summarize it, right, in, let's say, a short brief, right? What is it that we should think about? What should come to our mind when a terminology of a privacy statement or external privacy policy gets around? What is it that is expected of it?
So we are expected to provide the people with the necessary information to take a decision whether to share the data with us or not. If I'm making a parallel, because I worked as a corporate lawyer in the past, it's like the obligation of putting on the food the label. Who are you? What is in the product? And how you must use it, let's say, if there is need for instruction when it comes to a product. So the same I see it for a privacy policy statement or notice. As you said, this differs from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, or from different, let's say, cultures, because US is different from Europe when it comes to data protection. But in short, when it comes to an external one, is your statement towards the data subjects or your consumers on how you will use your their personal data. Who are you? First of all, who are you? How do you use their personal data? What
So
personal data?
I will probably move to the next slide, because I think we have already kind of moved to the structure of the policy. So
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
want to summarize what a privacy statement is, and I think this is the first time I've kind of heard the most brief and the best version is that is privacy statement is something that you give to the user so he can choose whether he should actually use that application or kind of give you data or not. I think that's very well put forward through. And okay, so I think kind of we also have a question for everyone here. So
Yeah.
how often do you read a privacy policy? I am not choosing never this time. Guys, this is a quick question. Link is in the chat, right? Okay. Menti is already on, right? So menti.com, and the code is 96278307. And this is not a customer care number, as I have repeated. Yeah. So, okay, always. Okay. I checks the consent box without reading the policy. Okay. Okay. Where do I find one? I think that is an option that is still left out. Is where do we find that privacy statement, right? So
We
11
know.
people. I think now finally because of GDPR, we all know that where is that privacy statement, because it's kind of a mandatory by for the companies to kind of show it and take consent. Okay, then one person has chosen it finally. So I think never also has been chosen. Yeah, I was about to say that. So yeah, it's finally. I think we're reaching close. So 26 people have voted. Right, guys, it's a democracy, right? And it would be great if you can and try hard and just go to menti.com. It's 96278307. 8307, right? Okay, 19, 9. Okay, that's great. 20 people. Okay, I think we are good. I think now we kind of have come to the same conclusion that we have coming through. But I think in past years we have kind of moved on, that we now know what a privacy statement is or a privacy policy is. So at least when we are consenting, right, we know that, hey, why are we doing it, right? So, and that is awareness, right? And privacy is a human right, right? And it only can increase with awareness, right?
Yeah.
So okay, so now moving on to our next point. I think this is a question, Christina, that was posted also when we asked like, what do you expect from this session? So what a privacy policy or a statement is structured as or includes, right? It's over to you, Christina.
Yeah. So we discussed and we said that we'll take the GDPR-ish road. Okay, so we have to look to the GDPR. It's straightforward with the mandatory fields that privacy policy or notice should include. Missing in any of these bullet points would make data collection in breach of the law. And when it comes to external ones, that would mean that data that you would collect it is actually unusable. And for databases, it's a very bad thing, because all the money you put into collecting the data, storing and analyzing it would be lost due to the fact that you can actually use that database in compliance with the law. I don't want to go to fines, because everybody knows that GDPR is a monster when it comes to fines, but take into consideration that even if you get a small fine, but you get an injunction from the supervisory authority stating that you cannot use your database of, let's say, 1 million plus data subjects, it will be a huge loss for the company. First, stripping or deleting the data, and then starting the collection process again. So bear in mind that fines are not the only thing that would impact the business when it comes to data protection infringements. So going back to what a privacy policy should include, as I said, who are you? Okay. When it comes to who are you, there are many variants. I saw a question in the chat box. It was related to multiple jurisdictions, but I can take it to multiple controllers. So if you are a big company and you are collecting data that shall be used within the group, you have to be very specific and clear about this. Okay, we are whatever name company as controllers, and by the way, we are sharing the data, or we are joint controllers with our affiliates. And you might want to list those affiliates in order to be 100% clear on who are you as controllers in this process. Then, what data you collect? Here, it's also a discussion based on jurisdiction. When it comes to what data you collect, you might want to add everything else. So what is the purpose? What is the data you collect? Name, telephone number, email address, IP, whatever. What is the legal base used for collecting this data? Again, be very be very clear when it comes to legal base, and especially consent. Under GDPR, direct marketing activities like subscribing to a newsletter can only be done under consent. Okay. So
Christina,
I
I
said, yeah,
I got a question actually, and I think you
yeah,
already have notified about GDPR, but there's a question where it was a very fair enough question for everyone here also. So if let's say we make a privacy policy or a statement based on GDPR,
yeah.
then how do we kind of, let's say we also see that tomorrow CCPA gets applied to us, right? And we see that Singapore PDPA gets applied to us. So then can we like use the same policy, tweak it a bit, or should we create an independent policy, or do other effort again? Yeah.
Yeah, so this is when it comes becomes very tricky. You can do, let's say, a identification of the visitor of the data subject based on the IP, and change the privacy policy shown to that specific data subject based on where they are coming from. That is very difficult, and that would imply that you have to have privacy policies or notices for all the jurisdictions you can think of, and then maybe that particular person is not in one of the jurisdictions you are providing privacy policy for. So usually for corporate, let's say, I saw that for privacy policies, usually the corporate websites have such policies that are wide and would, let's say, cover most of the jurisdictions. But what you do there is collect as minimum data as possible.
Okay.
And
So
if you
basically,
want to, yeah.
yeah. So Christina, I think this is something that I was reading about in CIPM. So what the book kind of said is, if you make a privacy strategy, right? I'm kind of being general here. So we have to
Mhm.
choose the most stringent strategy so that it becomes easy for application. Do you think privacy policy can also follow a thing like that?
Uh, no, because for some time, for a short period of time, GDPR was regarded as the strictest legislation in privacy. Is still, when it comes to enforcement and extraterritoriality and everything. But for privacy notices, when you have different legal grounds, you have to invoke for the same processing activity or purpose. Uh, this doesn't work. So try on, let's say, on global websites, try to collect as less data as possible and have local subdomains in order to comply. What I saw very interesting is on, if I remember correctly, go read it, the ones that you said you always read it and the ones that you said that you never read it, is the privacy notice from, is the one for accommodation, Airbnb. Okay, so yeah, when you open the application, it asks you, where are you from? It's Europe, it's California, it's whatever other jurisdiction. And after you select, they will provide you with the privacy notice custom made for your place of residency. So this is a solution because Airbnb is one application. Okay, you cannot have subdomains or whatever. So they came up with this solution. It's asking the user their location and providing the appropriate privacy notice. So this is a solution when it comes to global websites or applications.
All right. I think
Yeah.
fair enough. I think that's a great example on how global companies are providing light to solve the problem, and it kind of sounds like an easy problem statement, but it is kind of, I can understand that this is one of the toughest things to do, because there is application development involved, and then you kind of make it geolocation wise, and then there are VPNs. So I can understand because end of day responsibility lies with companies. So it just kind of becomes more and more difficult.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
so I think now moving on, I think we kind of have been discussing on this point as to what information is collected, how it is collected. So do you think? I think rather a point from this point. Do you think, Christina, when we start collecting SPII and basically when it's the consent that because we are talking about external privacy policy, so
Mhm.
consent, right? And we look at explicit consent in this case scenario. So do you think the privacy policy or a statement changes a lot when we kind of start infusing SPII into our applications or giving the notice for that, or do you think it's mostly the same? Yeah.
Yes, the content of the privacy policy is more or less the same. The way we are providing people with the notice is different, because when it comes to a privacy notice, it should be provided or available to the user. Is not usually requiring a checkbox, unless you are talking about consent. And to be, let's say, 100% GDPR compliant, if you're talking about marketing activities, you should split them per manner of communication. So if you want to do to do marketing communication with the user, both by email and phone number, you should have two checkboxes. Okay, of course, not pre-checked. This is not under discussion. It's opt-in, not opt-out. Okay,
Okay.
but when it comes to, as I said, to the consent, you have to change the way you deliver the message. And I saw in the market a lot of interesting options on how to bring into the attention of the user on the fact that they are providing consent, and if they want the information regarding to what does that mean and what we will do with the data, you either have a link, you have a pop-up, you have a layered explanation. There are a lot of ways of delivering this message in the market. Of course, this is not cheap, and as you said, it implies a lot of development. And also it implies the huge costs if this was not thought at the moment the website or the application was developed. Coming afterwards and saying, okay, we need to collect consent via this channel after the website is done would be very bad
Right.
because
Makes
yeah.
points out to the right direction. I think Christina, I think Nidhi has kind of summarized a lot of things for our session also. I think she has asked a very good question. So she has asked three questions, I think, pointing
Yeah,
out specifically. So
yeah.
question number one, I think that's a very good question. So is there any guideline as to when we need to provide additional privacy policy for individual applications? And now I think we're talking about HR here. Individual applications on top of the global privacy policy that the company has, right? Let's
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
yeah,
Okay. So let's take it on manner of collection. So if you are talking about a sub-page of careers on a corporate website, you either introduce the purpose of recruitment into your privacy policy or privacy notice. Okay, you either make, let's say, a note when candidate goes to the career page and the page is changing, you can have a pop-up and say, hey, by the way, you are entering the career website. This has a different privacy notice. If you want to have additional information, please click here. Okay, and that's it. And when it comes to, let's say, candidates that are coming via different platforms. Usually what you do in the announcement of the job, you put a link to your privacy policy. Okay, I
Right.
hope that was the answer to the question.
All right.
Yeah.
So I have one more question, Christina. I think probably this is a question. This is kind of very important for everyone around the globe. This is a question that started kind of after COVID started. Uh, VDIs, right? Virtual desktops, right? So, for example, we're talking about BYOD policy here. So, let's say a company has a BYOD policy, right, which the company should not have, and I totally agree with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
But can there be a mitigation control for BYOD policy if we use a virtual desktop? Like, there's so many, right? So the even if the hardware is mine, but still the software is, the OS, the operating system is VDI.
Yeah.
Do you think that is
Yeah.
possible to do or not?
Yes, it's possible from my point of view. This is a combination of some policies with technical measures. Okay, so first of all, you have to have your bring your own policy. You have to provide it to your employees. They have to understand what that is. And then from technical perspective, I think you can enforce some security measures on the personal laptop or whatever in order to make sure that first, when it comes to bring your own device, let's say my security concerns trumps the privacy ones. So this is my first concern every time. It's related to security measures. Okay, and afterwards, of course, the privacy ones. But from technical point of view, you can enforce your, let's say, domain security measures onto the personal laptop, and that is okay.
All right. I think fairly put through. I think security has been paramount. Again, as I told you, right, we kind of started as a company of data privacy, but we took a back seat and we said, you know what, we are a data protection company because the problem is data protection, right? And it's not just about a law. There's a lot of effort that goes into security, right? And then we kind of complete the story of privacy with security, and that is exactly why we also kind of took a turn, Christina, as you have rightly mentioned.
Yeah.
Guys, you have to go to menti.com. You know the trick, right? How would you know the date of a privacy policy modification, right? Or can you know, or is there no opportunity to know these things? So, Abhinaya, I think your question has been answered because we kind of discussed how do we do a policy in case there are so many, and Airbnb privacy policy is the option, is the answer to your question, that every jurisdiction has their own privacy statement, privacy policy. Okay, so Vikas has a very good question again. I think probably the question is of gap assessment. And the gap assessment, I think we can take this after we kind of,
Yeah.
yeah, this is a
I
very good
saw it.
question. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it.
How do we do gap assessment? I think it is present in the policy itself. Okay, guys, I think you are right. And option one is the correct option. And this is also a mandatory obligation. So do not forget, if you're a privacy professional, to do this, right? Do not just change a policy without informing people. Yeah. You have to send that email and also send that modification date. Yeah. Okay. So what are the means of collection of information? I think Christina, I think this is kind of pointing through cookies, web blogs, surveys, web forms, registration for an event. I think, have you like ever seen anything other than this, which we kind of you think we can like talk about to people? Yeah.
Yeah, on websites you also have a telephone number
Okay.
or an email address.
So
So
do you
you,
think a website? I think this is a very important question. I'm sorry. Yeah, this is get asked to me so many times. So if there is a website phone number, Christina, right? And if
Mhm.
somebody calls on that number, right? So how does that consent process work now?
Yeah, so I don't see it as consent as a legal base. Okay, let's go to GDPR. I don't want to go to other jurisdictions where everything you do needs consent. Okay, but from GDPR perspective, having the privacy policy on the website and the contact number or email address also there, And the fact that you stated that for purpose of, let's say, contacting us with questions, with whatever grievances, the legal base would be legitimate interest. Okay, you don't need consent.
Okay, so if let's say if there is a customer service number, right, or if there is a sales number, right, on my website, and
Yeah,
if somebody calls on that number, and because I'm talking from a case scenario where we are also recording those calls for our customer service, and we kind of a long term.
that is a different that is a different. So first of all, if you are a call center, a customer service, or whatever, we presume that the caller is a client, and the client has a contract with the controller. Therefore, the legal base for processing would be rather than legitimate interest contract,
Okay.
which also doesn't require consent. For conversation registration, that is a different issue. Okay, because you should collect consent for that, because that is not necessary to provide the service, the registration of the conversation. What
Will
is
that
very
not be treated
important?
as implicit consent? If
No,
somebody no.
no. What you can do to cover this issue is to before registration. Hello, you have called whatever company. Please be advised that this registration, this conversation might be registered. If you want to know more, go to www whatever for our privacy policy. If you don't agree, you can contact us via alternative channels. Otherwise, you cannot say that you have consented if you don't provide the caller with alternatives if they
Okay.
don't agree.
Totally. I think that is a very very important point, and I am asking this to you, but I know everybody in this call has a confusion here because there are a lot of guidances, and we kind of the moment we reach practical solutions, the guidances start getting blurry, right? Because but practically solving this, I think this is something that we actually wanted to know. I think probably what I'm going to do right now is, so guys, you will all get these slides, and so that you can kind of run through them if you want to, obviously. And I'm gonna try and show you a template that we have kind of, we'll give it to you, right? So this is a privacy policy template that we have kind of created for all of you, right? uh, you can use this template. We have the same sections that we talked about. So we kind of, whatever we talked about: introduction, collection of personal data, use of information, right? Disclosure of information, right? I think Christina talked about all of these: vendors, marketing communications, right? Online postings, third parties also, right? Everything that you need to kind of do in a privacy notice, this is for free. And this is for everybody who has joined this call, right? We're gonna drop a link where you can download all of this. And I hope that it kind of solves a lot of problems for you. I know it's always, it cannot solve everything for you, but definitely we are trying to make sure that we kind of get better. So guys, if you have any questions, now is the time, right? Now is the time. This is the beautiful time where you can drop any question, right? And I'm going to start the question with gap assessment question because we already have one. So Christina, if let's say somebody has to do a gap assessment, Christina, let's be, because there's so many questions coming in to us in the chat. Yeah, so if somebody has to do gap assessment on GDPR, what is it that he has to do? What is it that he should think about?
Okay, so if we want to do a gap assessment based on the GDPR, first of all, you need to assess whatever it is necessary according to the GDPR to be implemented in the company. Okay, go to the principles, go to the mandatory privacy notice, documentation related to policies within the company, processors, data protection impact assessments, okay, when there are necessary, okay, and how to do them. Article 30, okay, data processing registry, okay, so set your target, assess against whatever is going on in the company, and make a plan to redress.
Yeah. So
but
guys, I
but
think,
the
yeah, I think a lot
okay,
of people, yeah, yeah, I'm sorry, sorry, please.
just a comment. We are seeing GDPR as one piece of legislation. Be very careful because some states in the European Union have additional requirements. Okay, the GDPR has left some fields at the decision making of the state. So if you are talking about Germany, you have to go higher than GDPR.
Right. Because of the
Yeah,
German local privacy law, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
perfect. So guys, I think since you've already realized that we have kind of let you unmute yourself and ask a question. So if you have any question and if you want to unmute yourself and post the question directly to Christina, this is the moment for you. Yeah.
Hi,
And yeah,
Akarsh
try to
Singh.
be crisp. Yeah.
Yeah. So, hi, Krishna. Thanks for the insightful session. So, my question I have posted in the chat box as well. I have a very imminent client requirement who is asking for drafting a privacy policy based on like multiple jurisdictions they are operating, and that is the internal privacy policy that they want us to make, not the website privacy policy. So, what should be our approach?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So what can you do when it comes to the privacy policy from internal perspective? I see it as a high-level document in which you set the data protection principles that your company will follow. If your client is requesting for you to draft a privacy notice that is global, I don't see it as doable because the privacy legislation is so different in so many jurisdictions. And as I said, even in European Union states, some things might differ from the obligation point of view. So if you are writing a privacy policy, when it comes to a high-level document stating the principles you will follow as a company, you can make it global. You can say, okay, we as a global company will follow whatever standards, whatever, okay, GDPR standards, we can follow whatever frameworks, and this is how we will do it. But when it comes to privacy notices, if there are internal, first of all, is towards your employees, you have to make an assessment on what obligations are in each jurisdictions, see if any of them are common. I've been assessing 55 plus jurisdictions from my company. Let me tell you that you need to do it per jurisdiction. A global
Right.
one,
So,
I don't see it.
so Christina, I think probably the answer is it's not easy and do it per jurisdiction. Right. Okay.
Okay,
So yeah.
because otherwise you will have in question the legality of the
Yeah,
processing.
I think there's a very expert question here. I think Steer sir has asked. So if customer call, I think this is a follow-up question from the discussion that we were having. If a customer
Yeah.
call is being recorded after the consent was taken, right, on the call, obviously, can the customer ask for the recording file while exercising his or her right? Let's say his conversation was recorded. So can he get that right to access?
So first of all, if the privacy notice in your website or whatever is posted provides for this right, regardless if it's provided by your local jurisdiction, the answer is the customer has the right to request. Then you have to analyze if in providing the right of access to the client, you are not infringing the rights of your employee.
Okay.
Okay, so the answer, as always, from a lawyer is depends.
Okay, I think that's a very fair enough. So guys, I think I have kind of also in the list, I have given you all the download links of everything that we just showed you. So you can click on there, keep a download for you quickly, right? And be sorted for some time at least till we have our next session. So Amol Poddar has also asked a very interesting question. And I think I'm kind of amazed by the right questions that are being posted in this session, and we definitely will do more of these sessions because I have learned a lot today. Right? Thanks, guys, for asking these questions. So, do you need to take any considerations while drafting a privacy statement when the PII collection is offline? For
Oh,
example, if some,
yes.
yeah, for example, he's given a great example. If somebody entered a mall or a stadium, right, and his data was taken for surveillance, uh, how do we add it in the
Yeah,
privacy statement? Yeah.
yeah. So, um, this is related to, let's go to CCTV, okay? This is the easiest one. So we have a lot of legislation when it comes to CCTV. The CCTV policy should be on the website of that particular company. All the cameras have to be signaled in a manner that will alert, let's say, the data subject that they are filmed. In certain jurisdictions, you have to provide under the, let's say, the picture or the signal with the this area is CCTV monitored, the link towards the CCTV policy and contact details of the DPO or the privacy responsible. So first of all, you have to make it clear to people that the area is monitored. Okay, you have to provide information related to this processing. A policy on website is a must, and links, as I said, in certain jurisdiction, the link has to be provided and the contact details of the DPO or the privacy responsible.
Right. So, guys, I think probably we are coming close to our time today. And I think probably what I'm going to do for all of you is I know you have a lot of questions, and I know a lot of questions were not covered. But I hope I am giving you the LinkedIn of Christina on the chat. So, in case you have any questions that I cannot take today, maybe, right? If she has time, she's a very busy person. But if she has time, she'll definitely try to.
I will try to answer them all.
Yeah.
Bear in mind that in this area, things are very nuanced. And usually when my colleagues ask a question, I come back with 10 in order to provide them with an answer.
Right.
Yeah, so it always is on specifics and details. What do you do? How do you do it? For how long? With whom are you sharing? And so on and so forth. So one other comment, what I found out in this profession is that you have to be a very good detective. Yeah, bear in mind that.
Okay. I think that's something that I kind of totally agree with, and I have been. I think a lot of people in Tsaaro also, they're asking me like, how do I know everything? Because guys, I know this because I'm a privacy professional and it's slash detective. So I
Yeah,
think privacy professionals are those people, right? They're always laughing and trying to know more about those departments. so,
yeah.
so even I think more interesting than auditors for sure over there.
Yes,
Yeah, like always
hopefully
on.
more liked.
Yeah. Okay, that's something that we'll not talk about here. Yeah, business teams are not here, so I think this we all know what the truth is. So yeah,
Yeah.
so I think thank you, Christina, for the session, for great answers, and obviously with all your experience, we kind of learned a lot. And I personally can tell you that I have all these questions and kind of answered a lot of things. But I think I would request you to be to come more at and give us more time of yours because there are so many questions that
I'm
all of us
trying.
have, and we definitely want to solve more problems. Yeah. So guys, I think if I think that's Christina for you, right? And I know you all have learned today. And this is something that we want to continue again because we kind of lost a streak in between. So in 2 weeks, another 2 weeks, we have another event for you, which is kind of very focused on ROPA, and you will get that invite in the same chats also. So we are doing a lot of focused events because there's a lot of noise around us. So we're trying to solve get that question in, right? And stop talking and start solving, right? That is kind of we're trying to do here. So thank you, Cristina, right? Thank you for your time. Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me. Happy Dashera, and as I said, I will try to answer all the questions, and keep up the good work.
Yep. If you have any questions in privacy implementation, Tsaaro is there for you. Thank you,
Okay.
Cristina. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for joining the session.